Life is but a metaphor. Not that your life is a metaphor for life. Your life is real. But life, when you can see it as a metaphor for the divine, you're very blessed to see the inner depth, how everything before you is unfolding. How a leaf is not just a leaf. How the forest is not just a forest. How an incident of meeting someone is not just happenstance, but there's some divine message behind it all. After all, God is animating everything at every single moment. He is communicating every moment in the fact that he just brings us into existence. Hence, we appreciate and understand that. And we can see how everything is a metaphor for a divine message. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We continue in our journey of Shar Yichud Ve'amunah, of the pathway to the divine unity and to the what our beliefs are about God as Koyach HaPoel B'Nifal, the power of creator within creation. This is not so much about our relationship with God that's beyond creation. This is about appreciating God as the creator, power of creator within creation. We have been understanding that God creates every single moment. Ata, you, God. Ata means you. And who is the you of you is creator? Aleph, Taf, Hey. Aleph is the first letter of the Aleph base. Taf is the last letter of the Aleph base, right? Meaning God is creating through the last letters, 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, together with the letter Hey, which refers to the five utterances or five organs that we use to verbalize our letters, our words, right? The mouth, the tongue, the teeth, the palate, and the larynx that bring to verbalization everything, right? You need to use your lips to say pay. You need to use your gut, ches, to say the ches, to verbalize it. So through that, God is creating everything, bringing into existence me, you, this silver goblet. Well, it was silver once. Bringing it into existence. Every moment, the power of the creator is there. And that's the only reality that's there, is but that. So then the question is, if that's the truth, how come I'm not experiencing that? How come I'm not experiencing that God is animating and bringing me into existence every single moment, and my only reality is but Him that is doing that? There's nothing outside of that. I don't feel it. Intellectually understand that now, but I'm not experiencing it. And as we explained, because God is hiding that from us. He's not making that privy to us that we experience it. And today, he gives us a metaphor, the Alter Rebbe, to appreciate this idea, because it's an abstract idea that's not actually within our realm of experience. So he's going to give us something that won't be in the realm of our experience either, but at least we can appreciate it because it's a physical reality. And the physical reality is as follows. There is a sun, S-U-N, right? 93.5 million miles away. And that sun is very powerful. It emits rays of light from the sun. How do we know? Because about 8 minutes later, it hits us down here till it comes finally down here. And we're affected by it. The warmth, right? The growth that it gives to vegetation and to everything. So we know that there's a ray of sun that we do experience and that we're familiar with. That ray is something we can handle as long as it's 93.5 million miles away. If it gets 500,000 miles closer, not so good, right? But if there's a ray of the sun that is emitted from the sun, what does that mean ipso facto? Of course, there's a ray of sun within the sun. Obviously, it's emitted from there, so it's got to be there to emerge from there. When it comes out of the sun, what do we call it? Do we call it sunny boy? No. We call it a ray of sunlight, right? But we don't call it sun. However, what do you call the ray of sun before it emerges from the sun? That it's within the sun. What do you call it? Sun. You call it sun? Because what is it? Part of the sun. In what way is it part of the sun? Bound up, one with it, right? Totally bound up and one with it. In a manner that it doesn't have any identity of its own. Its identity is its source, the sun. Only when it emerges from there and it goes out of there does it have its own identity called a ray of light from the sun. But as it is within the sun, it has no identity of its own. Nullified. Huh? Totally nullified. Part of its source. Nothing more but that. Has no other existence, right? It's like a nothingness, so to speak, right? The only thing it becomes something is when it emerges outside of its source, but not within its source, right? Today, we only get a metaphor. What the analog is, with the meaning of that metaphor, you can get a little glimpse and have an idea already, but we're gonna have to wait for that for tomorrow. What does this teach us? Life is but a metaphor. Because if today all we got was a metaphor, it must be that life can be just a metaphor. Now, of course, meaning that it's a metaphor is to see what's in the metaphor and how it teaches us about life. Most importantly, how it teaches us a divine message from the messenger of life, God Almighty. For that, we'll have. Well, so John tells us it takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds for a ray of light to reach Earth. Thank you. At 20 seconds, we needed that. Beautiful. Any questions, any comments? Clem, you should be gesund and well. How we don't?
You said we don't actually experience the light. We don't feel it.
The light we don't experience the ray of light within the sun. We understand that it must, if it emerges from the sun, so it must be within the sun, right? That we don't have an experience of. We only have the experience of the 8 minutes and 20 seconds down here as it comes and hits Mother Earth, hits us, gives us some vitamin D that we need, to live life.
How far is it from the Earth?
93.5 million miles, give or take, Don't give or take at all. It should be exact, right? Okay, amazing. Amazing. All right, folks. Rambam is coming up. For those that missed yesterday's Torah studies, you can get it at youtube.com/Tanya Rabbi. Very fascinating topic of anti-Semitism and how to deal with that. And as the title is, there is no anti-Semitism. All right. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from Chabad, Zich and Kadesh, Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and pleasure to share with you, Tanya.